There we go. Good evening. Welcome to a very warm room. We know the city has paid the heat. It's a little warm in here. Okay, thank you for coming, and to those at home watching on television and on the internet, thank you for watching. Hello to everyone at Oak Crest Retirement Center as well. I know you're watching. I also know everyone's cell phone is off because we have some of the most polite audiences anywhere. I know folks here, again, will be respectful towards each other. If not, remember, police station's right downstairs. My name is Kay Shelton. I'm the co-president of the League of Women Voters of Dekalb County. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization for women, and men are welcome too. The League encourages informed citizen participation in government and works to influence public policy through education and advocacy. The League does not support or oppose particular political parties or any specific candidates. There are membership forms available tonight for anyone interested in joining. For those of you at home, the email address is leagueofdekalbcounty@gmail.com. That's also in the media as well. I wish to thank everyone at the City of Dekalb for allowing this event to be held in the council chambers, and for their work involved in televising the event on Channel 14 and live streaming on the internet. A special thanks goes to Jeff Bertel of the City of Dekalb, who is our technical wizard tonight. Thanks also to all of the candidates who could participate tonight. Invitations went out to all candidates for these offices, but not all could attend. First, a couple of housekeeping items. For county board candidates, scheduling became a challenge, especially with the 5:15 meeting tonight of the Executive Committee. Because of that meeting and the 7:30 p.m. meeting, the League decided to allow candidates to have representatives speak for them. This is a one-time accommodation because of the meeting schedule. All county board candidates with districts in the City of Dekalb were given the opportunity to provide a 2-minute statement in person or through a representative. Next, for the candidates, because this is a public government building, literature and yard signs cannot be left unattended, and extras cannot be left behind at the end of the evening. Please take any campaign literature that's extra home with you at the close of the event. Can't leave it for the employees tomorrow. That would be a no-no. For candidates, remember to talk into the microphone so everyone at home can hear you. The monitor in the back, which is back there, shows what the folks at home can see. And just so you know, there is a little bit of a couple of second delay. So don't freak out. It's just that's just the way it is. Candidate forums provide an opportunity for the public to participate in the electoral process by asking questions of candidates. Candidates without opponents present can give a 2-minute statement without debate. Candidates with opponents present will have the opportunity to give a 2-minute opening statement, followed by 3 questions from the audience with 2 minutes to respond, and then a 2-minute closing statement. Dr. Farrell Bryan will be the timekeeper, and he is sitting right here so you know where to look. He will have warning signs at 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and stop. Going past stop may mean the bell will ring. League members will select appropriate questions, but the moderator has the final choice in asking the questions. At the door, there were suggestions on how to write appropriate questions, and we took some over email, but not all questions will be asked due to time constraints. County Clerk John Accardo could not be here tonight. I will give you information about grace period voting, which is for anyone who missed registering, and early voting. And you can find that information on the website votedekalb.com. Again, that is votedekalb.com. You can find out information on how to register. If you missed it, there's still time. If you need to vote early, you can do that. Information is right on that website. And I do have handouts for anybody who still needs to register through grace period voting or who wants to do early voting. You can see me afterwards. I have handouts on how you can go and do that. Tonight's moderator will be Sue Stevens, news reporter for WNIJ. Please welcome her and thank her for her willingness to be here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to start with the county board candidates. And our first candidate, and like we had said, this will be 2 minutes each because they'll get to tell a little about themselves. So our first candidate is Stephen Reed, an incumbent Democrat.
Thank you, the League of Women Voters. I've served on the DeKalb County Board since 2010. I'm Vice Chairman of the County Finance Committee, and I serve on the Law and Justice Committee. I serve on the County Board to give back to the community that I've called home since 1967 when I attended NIU. After NIU, I served 30 years on the DeKalb Fire Department. Unfortunately, many citizens don't know much about DeKalb County government. DeKalb County government includes the courts, the sheriff, the jail, the highway department, the zoning, nursing and rehab center, the forest preserves. We provide veteran services, senior services, and county health services. Much of what the county budget does budget-wise is controlled by federal and state mandates and affected by cities in the county and their development. DeKalb County, like other employers, face rising health care costs. We must deal with increased criminal statutes that affect our courts and jail, and we are affected by the recession. My number one priority on the county board is to maintain the quality of life in DeKalb County and in District 5. I believe in long-term thinking and smart growth to protect our farmland and even smarter development to stop existing homeowners from subsidizing new residential developments, especially apartments. It bothers me that some areas in District 5 aren't safe. There are some good things happening at the county level. We've may finally relocate Evergreen Village Mobile Home Park. Our fiber optic grant will attract knowledge-based businesses to the county. We've attracted high-tech manufacturing and entertainment-based businesses such as smart robotics and upstaging. DeKalb County has excellent location and infrastructure and is poised for industrial and commercial development to grow our tax base and create jobs. Our auditors tell us that we have a healthy reserve fund, and that's something that other governmental bodies only wish that they could claim. Vote for me on November 6th.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Next up, we move to County Board District 7 and Sally DeFau, the Democratic incumbent.
Good evening. It's good to see that the political process is alive and well, even on the rainy night. My name is Sally DeFau, and I'm the DeKalb County Board Representative for District 7. I've served on the board since 2004. My husband and Mike and I have lived in DeKalb for 39 years, and it's where we've raised our family of 3 sons. And we've been living in District 7 for 14 years now. I've been very active in the community, serving on the city's architectural improvement program, presently on the DeKalb Landmark Commission, and the Joseph Glidden Homestead Archives Committee. After 24 years of working in the western suburbs, I am happy to say that I am now working in DeKalb at the Public Library. In my time on the board, I've seen the impact of growth on our county. The county's Unified Comprehensive Plan is an excellent tool for saving our farmland and directing our new growth adjacent to the municipalities and preserving our open spaces. I worked hard on the 2006 referendum in which voters told us that they valued the acquisition of forest preserve lands as important to the county's quality of life. Maintaining services, especially social services, for those who have been most affected by the economic downturn is critical. I hope the county will continue to be forward-thinking in all areas impacted by our continuing growth. Affordable housing and health care, wage-paying jobs, and enhanced public safety are some of the primary issues the county faces in the immediate future. I hope I can be part of the board which addresses and finds workable solutions for them. I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Ms. DeFau. Next up, we move to County Board District 10 with Jeff J. Whalen, the incumbent Republican.
I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to address the public. My name is Jeff Whalen. I have lived in DeKalb County for over almost 50 years now. Came out here in 1965. I married my wife, Jana, from DeKalb. We have 2 children, both of them who, one of them lives in DeKalb, the other in Rockford. I have 2 grandchildren who attend DeKalb schools. I've been on the board now for almost 5 years. Served 3 years from District 9, and I have also served in District 10. Currently, I am on the Dekalb Liquor Commission, and I have been for the past 15 years. And I've also been on the Northern Illinois Workforce Investment Board, which deals with unemployment and bringing jobs to the local area. I've also been possibly the Corn Fest. I've been involved with that for almost 25 years. It's a local event, and I like to keep myself involved with local problems and local opportunities. I support the county-wide smart growth. We have a plan for smart growth here in the Dekalb, and we try to keep that as a very smart plan. We are probably one of the only few counties that have the 40-acre rule. We also support finding new businesses, especially for current buildings, like, the old Wurlitzer building, but that has fallen down and under disrepair right now. But we have brought the opportunity of being in Ryerson Steel Company, which is in the old building on Peace Road. We also have brought other endeavors to the county. We hope to serve the whole county, and I hope to be on the county board for the next 4 years. That is the next election period. So don't forget to vote on November 6th, and I look forward to your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whalen. And now we move to County Board District 7, and our candidate is Misty Haji Sheikh, a Democrat.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you all for watching at home and on the internet. And thank you to the League of Women Voters. I have lived in DeKalb since 2002, and I live in District 7 all that time. I'm married to an NIU professor. My daughter and I are both students at NIU, and I have a son at DeKalb High School. I am committed to our community. I currently serve on the Tales Humane Society Board of Directors, Kishwaukee Symphony Orchestra Board of Directors, DeKalb Music Boosters, the Finance and Facilities Committee for District 428, the Elwood Historic Neighborhood, and the DeKalb County Community Gardens. Our county can do better. We can do better in how we spend taxpayers' money. As chairperson of the Finance Advisory Committee, my committee and I improve schools by opening a new high school on time and on budget. The new high school is hosting competitions and festivals that make money for the school and the school district, including fees, ticket sales, and concessions. Secondly, we were vital in saving taxpayer money in the district using a computer model to look at the expenses and the incomes. Ultimately, we were able to save millions of taxpayers' dollars doing that. And we can be better in the county at communication. We can use simple things like Facebook, Twitter, and we can look for other ways to reach out to people who are not on the internet. If you are not a registered voter, there is still time to vote, as Kay said. You can go to my website if you have any questions about me, and that is mistyfordistrict7.com. And if you don't live in my district, you can still support me by helping knock on doors or by donating to the campaign. Using my experience in leadership, I'll work hard to accomplish these goals for the residents of DeKalb County. At the county board level, you do get to vote for 2 candidates, so Sally and I are not running against each other. You have 2 candidates, so please vote for 2. Together we can do better. Thank you, and please vote.
Thank you, Ms. Haji Sheikh. And just to, in case you're just tuning in, we have, just so you know how this is working tonight, we've got the DeKalb County Board candidates who are coming up and talking about themselves for 2 minutes. Many of them could not be, or some of them could not be here tonight because of actual county board committee meetings. So right now we have a representative speaking for Julia Fauci. Sally DeFaw will come back and speak for Julia.
I believe in government, not intrusive government, but responsive government that delivers vital services with minimal impact to the taxpayers. On the board, I have especially enjoyed reaching common ground with those who think differently than me. Our founding fathers set up our system to work in such a fashion. I have lived in DeKalb County for 41 years. 37 of those were spent in the very neighborhoods that I have represented on the DeKalb County Board for 10 years. As for my accomplishments, I'm especially proud of the downtown DeKalb improvements made possible by extending the TIF district. A beautiful downtown also helps the surrounding older neighborhoods. I worked very hard for the passage of those extensions. I have been elected chair of the Forest Preserve Committee for 8 years by my peers, where I worked for the passage of the successful Forest Preserve referendum in 2006, allowing the district to purchase and restore 3 new public green spaces to be enjoyed for generations to come. I am a founding member of the Dekalb County Greenways and Trails Coalition that created the plan for a countywide network of bike and hiking trails. I co-founded the Go Green initiative with Pat Very, where we sponsored 3 public seminars on the environment and 2 public seminars to help small businesses. Excuse. I have served on the Dekalb Board of Health for 2 years, and I'm currently serving on the ad hoc Courthouse Expansion Committee, overseeing the spectacular courthouse addition that has just opened. I believe in a strict interpretation of the 40-acre law, and I will always vote to keep Peace Road a limited access bypass road. I enjoy my job, and I would be honored to receive another term.
Thank you, Ms. DeFaw. Speaking for Julia Fauci, who is actually attending a county board meeting this evening. Next up, County Board District 9, Samuel Louis Bandy Jr., a Republican.
I'll talk fast.
You've got 2 whole minutes.
Wait till I get going. Thank you for having me here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sam Bandy Jr. My full name is Samuel Louis Bandy Jr., but Sam's good enough. My wife and I first moved out to DeKalb 35 years ago in 1977, shortly after we got married. I had a job that lasted 6 months and fizzled. We stayed and made the best of it. Several years ago, I was on the county board. I left in 1992 after 2 terms. I believe in term limits to a point. I also believe that we have other things in this county that we need to do other than make ourselves permanent jobs as public, what would we call ourselves, public servants at times. That's why one of the things I propose is that we get rid of the idea of county board members making the kind of money they do. They were making $35 when I was on the board per meeting, and I thought that was excessive. I'm going to say that we should have the county board members think of this as a position of honor and back down that pay to $1 a meeting. People say you'll never get good people, but the Board of Trustees for all your state universities serves without pay, and they get good people on those. I mean, I don't see Northern complaining that they have a bad Board of Trustees for people who serve only for expenses. One of the other things I see happening right now is the job loss and business loss in the district. The 9th District is probably the largest district within the city of DeKalb city limits. Maybe it isn't geographically, maybe it is, but it looks that way to me on a map. 90% of our district lies within the city of DeKalb. In the last 10 years, we've lost EMCO, EMT, and Caterpillar. These were all factories, manufacturing sources. They're replaced by Ryerson, which is a distribution center, Richards, which is a retail store, and 3M, which is a warehouse, none of which pay the kind of money that the factories they replaced did pay. Now, that's a problem to me. I think the county board members need to be more active, as I was when I was on the board, to try to get people to come out here and look at DeKalb as a potential place. Saying it's someone else's job, as my opponent did 2 weeks ago, saying it's the city's job if it's within the city when our whole district is within the city, is something to think about. We also need to look at some of the other things. So we need to look at zero-based budgeting, as they taught me at Northwestern University, for our budgeting plan. Something where we redo the whole budget every year, not just add or take away in increments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bandy. And our final county board candidate, we have a representative who will be reading the statement for Scott Newport. Scott Newport is a Republican incumbent and is attending those county board meetings tonight and couldn't make it to be here with you live. And would you state your name? I'm sorry.
Good evening. I'm Steve Kuhn. I'm the DeKalb County GOP chair, and Scott called me this afternoon and asked if I could come in and speak for him, and he sent me his statement. So pretend I'm Scott now, I guess, there. First, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting tonight's candidates night. While I'm disappointed that I'm unable to attend in person, I would also like to thank you for allowing the statement to be read on my behalf. My name is Scott Newport, and I'm a candidate for re-election in DeKalb County Board District 8. My wife, Victoria, and I have 4 children, and I have lived in DeKalb for over 20 years. I work as a farm financial management specialist with Illinois Farm Business Farm Management. I'm running for re-election to the county board as an advocate for physical discipline and open, transparent, and responsible government. I have over 20 years of experience in financial management, and if re-elected, will continue to use this experience in dealing with the budget-related challenges that face DeKalb County. I believe that there is a core set of services that the county should provide. It is the responsibility of the county board to see that these services are provided in the most effective and cost-efficient manner possible. The power to tax individuals and businesses comes from the obligation to spend those taxpayer funds with the highest degree level of diligence. I have never supported a county budget where expenditures exceed revenues. A transportation infrastructure, the transportation infrastructure of DeKalb County is vital to the economic well-being of the county and its residents. It's critical that DeKalb County maintain and improve this infrastructure in a manner that is physically responsible. Physical discipline is always a key issue for any government body. The DeKalb County Comprehensive Plan has allowed moderate residential and commercial growth in DeKalb County that is contiguous to existing municipalities. Such growth is important to the economic well-being of the county. The comprehensive plan also controls the most of the public services that are provided to residents while minimizing the potential conflicts between residents and agricultural operations. Additionally, it helps conserve open space in rural areas. I support the comprehensive plan and will work to ensure that this policy remains in place. I support fiscal discipline, open and transparent government, and responsible growth. Thank you for the opportunity to share these thoughts with you.
Thank you, Mr. Kuhn, portraying Scott Newport tonight. Next, we moved to our congressional race. Oh, first, a big round of applause for all of our county board candidates. Of course, there are more county board candidates who are in the running this year, and but these are the ones who are connected to the city of DeKalb. Our next candidate has just arrived, and her name is Wanda Roll. She is running for Congress in the 16th District as a Democrat. And just so you know, her opponent, Adam Kinzinger, his campaign said they could not be here tonight. And for this reason, we would have liked to have had a debate between the two, but instead we will have a 2-minute statement from Ms. Roll about, well, all about you.
Thank you for having me. My name is Wanda Roll, and I'm 41 years old. I'm a mother of 3. I'm a lifelong resident of LaSalle County. My husband and I live on the farm that's been in my family for generations. So I understand that agriculture is not just essential to our economy, it is essential to our community. It's part of who we are. It's how we identify ourselves. It's how I identify myself. I'm a farm girl. But I also understand labor, because my husband is a blue-collar worker. We are a proud union home. And I understand that our trade policies need to benefit agriculture, manufacturing, and the laborer. I identify myself as a rural progressive Democrat because I am the youngest of 3 daughters raised by traditional Republican parents. And those values help shape who I am and what I believe. We were taught fundamental things. Things like such as being, just because I was born a girl doesn't mean that I'm any less than. If I fought hard, achieved, I could be anything I wanted, and to not let anyone tell me what I can and cannot do because I'm equal. We were taught that service to your community and to your country are important. So my father served, my husband's a Marine Corps veteran, and my 18-year-old son is an active duty Marine. And to serve my community, I became a licensed social worker and a certified drug and alcohol counselor. I work with victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, those who suffer from the disease of addiction and mental health. I work full-time as a licensed social worker who works in hospice, so I spend my days holding the hand of people who are dying and their families. I believe that we need to have someone in Washington who understands that common sense is important, someone who understands what it's like to be us, living paycheck to paycheck, that we're all one illness or accident away from devastating poverty, what it's like to lose your job due to no fault of your own, and that the money in politics is the cancer that's killing our democracy. The U.S. House of Representatives is the people's house, and I believe it is time that we take it back. Thank you, and I'm asking for your vote.
Thank you so much, Ms. Roll. Again, that's Wanda Roll, the Democrat in the 16th Congressional District, and her opponent is Republican Adam Kinzinger. Now we move on to judicial races, and these are a little different than others because judicial candidates have restrictions on answering questions. So what we're going to do here is have each candidate speak for 3 minutes. They get 3 minutes each, and we will start with, this is the 23rd Circuit Court. We're going to start with Republican Bill Brady. You have I'll give you time to open your notebook
thank
there.
you.
Good? All right, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I first want to thank the League of Women Voters for giving me and my good friend Ron Matakaitis the opportunity to present our credentials to the voters of DeKalb County. As you have been told, my name is Bill Brady, and I have been an associate circuit judge here in DeKalb County for the past 9 years. I live in Sycamore with my wife Chris, who has taught in the DeKalb schools for the past 25 years, and where we raised our 3 children, Kevin, Sean, and Aaron, who is married to my wonderful son-in-law, Nick Gakey. Before I was appointed a judge in 2003, I spent 28 years in the courtrooms of DeKalb County as a practicing attorney. First, as an assistant state's attorney for 10 years, where I was chief of all the criminal prosecutions, and then as first assistant state's attorney, where I also acted as legal counsel for the county board and its many departments. Over the past 18 years, I've had the honor of representing many of you, your friends, and neighbors on the legal issues that attorneys encountered during the time that I ran a successful small business that employed up to 20 people. And I found out the importance of meeting the weekly payroll for all those individuals. I also had the opportunity to continue to represent many local governmental bodies, including the town of Cortland and the city of Genoa, as their legal counsel. In 2003, I received the highest honor and responsibility for an attorney when I was appointed to serve as an associate circuit judge. Since that appointment by the circuit judges of the 16th Judicial Circuit, I have presided over every type of case that comes through the courthouse, from the most minor traffic cases to multiple week jury trials. Additionally, since 1975, I've responded to the needs of our community in many ways, including serving 4 years as president of the Voluntary Action Center, being one of the first volunteer attorneys to represent CASA, a group that represents abused and neglected children here in court, and serving as president of the Sycamore Sports Boosters Club. In the end, the most important thing that I want you to know about me is what type of judge I try to be. More than anything else, it's my belief that the primary job of a judge is to listen in court. If you don't listen, if you are not patient, you miss the critical details necessary to decide a case. I do not miss those details because I do listen. Whoever steps up in court must have the opportunity to be heard. That is how I view the core of my job. My name is Bill Brady, and I'm running for circuit judge. I have the experience, the insight, and background for that office, and I ask you for your vote on November 6th.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. And now we move to the Democrat in the race, Ronald Matakaitis.
My name is Ron Matakaitis, and I'm an associate judge seeking to fill a circuit judge vacancy. 4 generations of my family have called DeKalb County their home. I've been married to Leslie for 27 years, and we have 3 children, Jake, Luke, and Sam. I'm a product of the DeKalb school system and completed both my undergraduate and law school studies at Northern Illinois University. I have the unique background of having served the public in each of our 3 branches of government, having been twice elected as an alderman, as a county board member, 3 times elected as your state's attorney, and now serving as an associate judge. My legal background is unique and diverse, having served our state in various legal positions, our county as your state's attorney, our communities as their attorney, and now our judicial circuit as an associate judge. I also have the unique benefit of having served as a judge in each of the 3 counties that make up our judicial circuit. It's my responsibility to ensure that matters proceed through my court calls on a timely and efficient basis. That's why I've streamlined my court call, providing more opportunities for contested motions and increasing by 15% the amount of time available each week to resolve cases without any additional cost to the taxpayer. I was inspired to choose a career in the law by the principle that all of us are equal before the law. In order to demonstrate my commitment to that principle, I have refused all campaign contributions from attorneys and their spouses. I'm doing so because it's important to acknowledge the common perception that the influence of money can affect our lawmaking and judicial systems. I've taken the additional step of directing my campaign committee to not disclose to me the names of any persons contributing to my campaign. I believe it's important to be accessible to our citizens and give people an opportunity to see and interact with judges outside of a formal court proceeding. That's another reason why I've campaigned door-to-door in this election, as I have in every other election, meeting people at their doorstep and providing an opportunity for our citizens to be the judge of my qualifications for the position of circuit judge. Since early July, 7 days a week with few exceptions for judges' meetings, I've knocked on over 10,000 doors throughout our county and have covered more than half of our communities in their entirety. Not just to demonstrate my commitment to the position, but because I believe our citizens deserve to have their candidates present themselves at their doorsteps. In doing so, I'm reminded of how wonderfully diverse our county is and how kind and friendly our citizens are. I've connected with people who knew my parents, parents of kids I went to school with, parents of kids I coached in Little League and soccer, and old, or should I say, former teachers. These people and all our citizens should expect and certainly deserve nothing less than a court system where they can be treated fairly and receive equal treatment before the law. My pledge to you is to continue to treat all those persons who appear before me with dignity and respect, to render a fair and timely decision based on the facts and the law, and to continue to uphold the principle that all of us are equal before the law. It would indeed be my honor and privilege to serve you as your next circuit judge.
Thank you, Mr. Matakaitis.
Thank you.
Thank you, both of the candidates.
I don't see him.
Okay, we have 70th State House District Representative Bob Pritchard scheduled next.
And we gave him permission to come late.
Yes.
So let the folks at home know we gave him permission
Okay.
to come late.
He does have permission to come late, so we can come back to him. So there we go. So next up, we have a contested race, and we have questions that we'll be using in this too. This is the DeKalb County State's Attorney's race. And so if we could get the two candidates, we have Republican incumbent Clay Campbell and Democratic challenger Richard Schmock. Please come to the table. And we're going to start this off. Here's how this will work. We're going to have a 2-minute opening statement from each of the candidates. And then we'll have questions that have been submitted from the audience and also over through email questions. We'll give each person 2 minutes to answer the question, alternating between who answers the question first, and then we'll have 2-minute closing statements. So let's start off with incumbent Clay Campbell and your opening statement, 2 minutes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on this forum. I think it's obviously imperative that we continue to have public discourse whenever we're choosing candidates. Rather than take this time right now to go through my credentials, I think the local media has done a nice job, the Chronicle, Public Radio, and the Northern Star, in setting forth the various issues that affect our race and the positions that we take on those issues. I wanted to tonight talk directly about the situation involving John Farrell within my office. Friday at about 3 o'clock, I was informed that Mr. Farrell had apparently lied to a public official about a pending case here in DeKalb County. I immediately confronted Mr. Farrell with those allegations, and Mr. Farrell admitted to me that he had indeed lied to a public official about a case. Mr. Farrell then resigned his position as Chief Civil Assistant within the office. Within an hour of me learning about this impropriety, I took immediate action and accepted his resignation. By Monday, I had appointed Stephanie Klein, the Chief Civil Assistant within the DeKalb County State's Attorney's Office. She is an outstanding litigator, and I look forward to her service. I want to tonight, though, say that I'm disgusted by the political exploitation by my opponent of this issue. Mr. Farrell has served this community for a long time, both as Civil Assistant to State's Attorney Matakaitis. He was actually appointed State's Attorney by the DeKalb County Board, and he served within my office in many instances with distinction. He has nearly 40 years as a state and federal litigator, and anybody that's followed the story that was reported today can clearly see that he's suffering some personal issues. I wanted to tonight condemn the exploitation of this gentleman's situation, and I think that that we should be above that here, considering the safety issues that we face here in the city of DeKalb.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Mr. Schmuck, your opening statement.
Yes, well, I'll dispense with my opening statement as well. But first, I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to appear here. I would like to thank my wife, Jackie. Jackie and I have lived here in the Sycamore, DeKalb area in Sycamore since 1985 when I came to work for the state's attorney's office in this county. We've raised our 2 children, Eric and Ben, here. We still live in the same house that we've lived in since 1986. I have my law office, a private practice of law in the house next door to that home, and I've served the community for the last 26 years as an assistant state's attorney and as a private attorney in private practice, I believe with honor and integrity throughout. So therefore, I take great exception to Mr. Campbell's statements, because in this situation, I brought this to Mr. Campbell's attention. I told him in an open letter what happened with Mr. Farrell. I advised him that in the interest of openness, I would disclose it to the public so that everyone could judge in an open manner what our dealings were between the 2 of us. Certainly, I advised him that I thought this reflected poorly on the way he was running his office, because not only was there the situation with Mr. Farrell involving the case that I discovered on Wednesday, which no one was aware of, but there was another situation with Mr. Farrell that I believe Mr. Campbell should have been aware of for the last 6 months, that I believed he was investigating for the last 6 months, that I have not talked about during that time while running. I feel that it is appropriate that this be a matter for public concern and public scrutiny in terms of the way that Mr. Campbell has run his office. So I make no apologies for bringing an issue in the interest of transparency and openness in government directly to the people and giving everyone a copy of the letter that I sent to Mr. Campbell so everyone in this community can be fully aware of what's going on and not get bits and pieces and have it spun for political gain.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schmuck. Our first question will start with Clay Campbell, and you have 2 minutes. Both of you will have the same question, and that's, please explain how you plan to make DeKalb safe.
We're working right now on various initiatives to make DeKalb safe. We're working with state and federal authorities to try to interdict some of the gun and drug traffic that's coming into DeKalb. Over the weekend, I'm proud to report that we had a largely uneventful homecoming weekend, largely thanks to the leadership of the new Chief of Police here in DeKalb, Gene Lowry. We had an unprecedented amount of resources here in DeKalb. We did the same thing last year, and I had the honor of riding around with those officers Friday night, and assistants in my office rode around Saturday night. We are deeply committed to ensuring the safety of this city, and we are deeply committed to working with Northern Illinois University and DeKalb City to ensure that the safety of the students are of paramount importance to this community. We are engaged in the process of trying to formulate a narcotic task force. It's been a prodigious effort that we've been working on for about 2 years now. We are trying to get the financing together to do that. We have taken the unprecedented step of diverting a large number of kids away from the court system, largely following the lead of Judge Matakaitis when he was state's attorney, of diverting kids away from the system. We are trying to take the resources within our office and focus on those on the most dangerous criminals that prowl our streets. The only way that we are going to make DeKalb safe is with the friends and neighbors here in this city, working closely with law enforcement, with the state's attorney's office and the various other prosecuting agencies throughout the state, to ensure that we send a signal to everybody from here to Chicago that if you come out to DeKalb and it's your intention to commit a crime or to do harm, we're going to do everything we can to lock you up. So we're trying to divert the nonviolent offenders away from the system and completely focus our resources on those that are bringing guns and heroin into our community.
Thank you very much, Mr. Campbell. Mr. Schmuck.
Yes. I agree with what Mr. Campbell has said about efforts to make the community safer. But with all due respect, Mr. Campbell has not really told us what he's going to do to make the community safer. He's given us rhetoric. The community can only be made safer by the cooperation between the NIU Police Department, the DeKalb Police Department, and the state's attorney's office, city officials, and officials of NIU in terms of making the city of DeKalb safe or safer than it is now. That should be something that we are endlessly pursuing, improve safety in this community. But the state's attorney's office has a role in this to prosecute crime as it occurs, to prosecute all crime, to prosecute the most serious and the less serious crimes, to study each crime and look at what's in the best interest of the victim, what's in the best interest of the defendant and the defendant's family, what's in the best interest, most importantly, of justice in the community as a whole. Diversion is a key and important component in certain and appropriate cases, but not all the time. No, we don't need rhetoric. We need a constant cooperation between the agencies, and that starts, more than anything, with the respect that I learned about in working with police agencies during my years as an assistant state's attorney. There's no better preparation for fighting crime or working with the police than being an assistant state's attorney. You know that the most important thing that the police are looking for from a state's attorney is that prompt response on a daily basis from the state's attorney to the chiefs, from the assistants to the police on the beat. Prompt return of phone calls is actually the single most important thing, and notifying your police officers to when they're actually going to be required in court is key. A better managed system is how we stop crime in this county, or reduce it.
Thank you, Mr. Schmock. Our next question, we'll start with Mr. Schmock on this one. Please discuss the future of the drug court.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. I think it's important to remember that drug court is and must remain an indispensable tool for addressing nonviolent crimes by addicts. The state's attorney is integral to that team. Prior to the institution of drug court, little effort was made to end the revolving door that we see of brief prison sentences, where sobriety is sporadically enforced without effective addiction treatment, followed by a short spell of freedom, swift return to addiction, new criminal charges leading to another prison sentence. It's a multidisciplinary and ever-evolving approach striving to break this cycle. And although relapses can occur, it's been a source of real progress for most of its participants and their families. Failure of any one participant is not a failure of the program. This program is working. It has been working. In fact, there never has been anything wrong with the way this program is being conducted in this county. Its success depends on the contribution of a fully engaged state's attorney who will do more than pay lip service to it while campaigning and ignore it in office. I'm committed to ending the current practice of assigning an assistant to drug court. I will assume personal membership on the drug court team, following the example of Ron Matakaitis. A state's attorney who stays involved in drug court will know what's happening there. There won't be any temptation to launch any sort of investigation into drug court when you yourself are the person involved in it on a daily basis. When you know, when you're there every Friday with people, when they come in and when they're there for their drug tests, when they come in and you're part of that team that's analyzing them, you know their strengths and weaknesses. That's got to be something that the state's attorney himself is involved in. That can't be delegated to an assistant. In an administration with me in charge, that's what would be happening. I would follow the example, again, as I said, of Judge Matakaitis, who was one of the founders of the drug court. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schmock. Mr. Campbell.
The future of criminal prosecution obviously must emphasize treatment over incarceration. No rational person opposes treatment for individuals with addictions. But it's important to remember that the drug court cases constitute 1.5% of the total number of felonies that come through the system. So this is a very, very small select group of individuals that have been given the privilege of having tax money spent to try to cure their addiction. So the other 98.5% of the cases that are coming through the courthouse, those are felony cases that we're prosecuting on a daily basis. I have spent the last 2 years working on 4 murder cases. 3 of them have been prosecuted to guilty convictions. We have another extensive murder trial on December 3rd that's going to begin here, the prosecution of William Curl for the murder of Antoinette Keller. It is unconscionable to imagine that I should spend an excessive amount of time in drug court. And remember, drug court is individuals that have committed serious felony offenses that generally are avoiding going to prison and given the opportunity to serve in drug court. The idea that I have to look these families in the eyes, these mothers and fathers, and talk about prosecuting their kids' cases, the idea that I would distract away from that important effort to be able to grandstand like Mr. Schmock just did and talk about spending Fridays in drug court, I think is ridiculous. We have exceptional people that go to drug court. These are attorneys with experience, and we will continue to fully support the drug court effort here in DeKalb County. But we must also be mindful that the victims and their families' plights are more important than individuals that are in drug court. So I am proud to stand with those families, and I am proud to work on the prosecutions of those cases, even if it means I can't spend as much time involved in the local drug court.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. And our final question, talk about, this first goes to Mr. Campbell, talk about the state's attorney's role in the county, the administrative part, the courtroom, and what you want your office to be like.
I want my office to be the best prosecutors in the state of Illinois. The people that I hire are exceptional. I would match the felony prosecutors in my office against any in the country. We deserve the best. And I was astonished at the phone calls that we received from around the country as a result of this last 55-year-old murder prosecution. This was countless hours spent by law enforcement and prosecutors in my office to put that case on. It was an extraordinary effort by the public servants here in the DeKalb County State's Attorney's Office. So I expect when they come into work every day that they put the people's interest first. Now, there's a myriad of interests that encompass the State's Attorney's Office. I'm responsible for all the prosecutions here in the county, whether it's traffic tickets or felony cases. We're responsible for all the civil matters involving the county. So we have thousands of cases that move through our office every single year, and I could not do it without the 12 exceptional attorneys in my office and the extraordinary staff that's within my office and the personnel here in this county, the local law enforcement, that go out each and every day and put their lives on the line to keep us safe. So when we talk about what exactly is the state's attorney's office, you know, Mr. Campbell, what is your priority? The most important priority in my office is public safety. Every single case that we look at, we analyze it through the lens of public safety. If I can divert a kid away from the court system and maintain public safety, I will do that. If I have to send somebody to prison or ask a judge to send somebody to prison to maintain the public safety, I will do that also. It is not an easy job. It takes constant balancing, and it takes integral interaction and cooperation between the office and local law enforcement. And I am proud to say here tonight I have a personal relationship with every single chief of police here in this county and the federal prosecutors up in Rockford, and that took a lot of hard work to get us to that place.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. And Mr. Schmock, again, talk about the state's attorney's role in the county, administrative, courtroom, the balance there, and what you want your office to be like.
My first, in fact, my only priority is to do this job properly and to do it right. Now, Mr. Campbell says his priority, his number one priority is public safety, but when he ran for this office, he listed a series of other priorities, one of which was to stop the mega dump. He hasn't stopped the mega dump. In fact, he's defending the landfill expansion in court, as is appropriate, because as state's attorney, he should be defending it in court. But he knew when he ran that he'd be defending it in court, and that was his number one priority, doing the opposite of what he's actually doing. Another one of his priorities was to stop the courthouse expansion. Next week, he'll be moving into the courthouse. As far as I know, he did nothing to stop that. That was his priority 2 years ago. He said he'd lower taxes. How did he plan to lower taxes? State's attorney doesn't levy taxes. State's attorney can't lower taxes. That was a priority 2 years ago. Now public safety is a priority. Public safety was a priority 2 years ago, too. He was going to eradicate crime. He hasn't done that yet. Now, and I don't think he can. Nobody can eradicate crime. It's unfortunate, but crime, it will always be with us. What we have to do is fight crime, and fight crime by working with the police department and doing it in a responsible fashion by working in a coordinated effort with them. Now, as far as the running the office itself, it does have a myriad of responsibilities. You are the attorney for every single agency of county government, not just the county board, but every other agency. You need to have a civil assistant that's up to the job, and you need to have some experience. I was the civil assistant for this county. I know the people there. Many of those people who I worked with when I was the civil assistant are still in county office. Sheriff Scott for one, Coroner Miller for another. I worked closely with those people 25 years ago. I can work closely with them today. As I said, my number one priority is to do the job that I am hired to do, to be the state's attorney for this county. And I will say, I do believe all of the felony assistants are excellent, excellent trial lawyers, and as they were all hired by Judge Matakaitis, my hat's off to him for selecting that group of people and bringing them in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schmuck. And now we come to closing statements. And Mr. Schmuck, you will get 2 minutes. You go first.
Sure. I'm not a flamboyant orator. I don't use alarmist rhetoric. I'm a calm, level-headed, and experienced attorney capable of instituting a new level of professionalism. 32 years practicing in almost every area of the law make me the most experienced lawyer in this race. I am the more experienced prosecutor in years, cases handled, and cases won without on-the-job training as the state's attorney with my experience as assistant state's attorney. I am my service as a civil assistant state's attorney and Kirkland Village attorney, as well as working for other villages occasionally when they had attorneys who had conflicts, make me the more qualified local government lawyer. DeKalb County deserves a steady leader as its chief legal officer to prosecute crime vigorously while seeking a just result in every case. Punishment should always fit not just the crime, as I said earlier, but the needs of everyone concerned, the victim, the defendant's family, and society as a whole. I will provide clear guidelines and real leadership to my assistants so they can assess each criminal case on its own merits, and with a constant eye to the fair administration of justice as well as the zealous representation of the people. The county needs an advocate who understands local government and understands how to give sound advice, not sound bites, to county officials. My experience as a lawyer has taught me not to make wild promises, which I cannot hope to deliver. My only commitment is to doing the actual business of the state's attorney and to doing the job right. The office comes with a job description, 13 specific duties imposed by the State's Attorney Act, and a whole lot of other duties imposed by a whole lot of different statutes. We don't need to dream up other things to do, like monitoring other officials and grading their job performance, suggesting revised admission standards for NIU or Kishwaukee College, or lecturing local landlords regarding their choice of tenants. I will bring some much-needed maturity, experience, and responsibility to the Office of State's Attorney. I hope that I can count on your vote in November.
Thank you, Mr. Schmuck. And Mr. Campbell, your closing statement.
In the last 2 years, we've had an interesting experience at the courthouse. We've started to notice individuals that are arrested the night before coming up on bond call, and when the judge asks them what they do, whether they work, do they go to school, they've indicated that they go to Kish College or Northern. When we look into their backgrounds, we're fairly astonished that they're actually students because many of them have extensive criminal histories. So when Mr. Schmuck opposes me speaking out about admission standards, if I see this university letting individuals in here that are endangering the children in this community, I have a responsibility to speak up and oppose that plan. We are at a crossroads here in the city of DeKalb. Northern Illinois University is at a crossroads. We are either going to take our streets back and take our university back, or it's going to slide, and we're going to continue to see declining enrollment and declining property values here in the city of DeKalb. Mr. Schmuck has made a point of saying that the most pressing issue in the future, the most pressing danger that faces the public is traffic. That is a fundamental misapprehension of the dangers that are facing this community. You talk to these City of DeKalb police officers that patrol these streets every weekend, and they'll talk to you about guns, they'll talk to you about heroin, and they'll talk to you about internet pornographers. They'll talk to you about those being the real threats that face our children. We are absolutely committed to making sure that the university here at Northern is both transparent and it's safe. That northwest quadrant of DeKalb is a headache for all of us, and we are working extremely hard to preserve that institution. As Northern goes, so goes the rest of the county. That is a very specific plan that's been put into place in cooperation with the Northern Police Department to try to ensure that we send a message throughout the Midwest to families that are going to send their children to our university that we are going to treat the safety of your children just like we treat the safety of our own. And we will accomplish that goal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Campbell. Thank you to both of the candidates.
Phone call.
And now we jump back in the schedule to the...
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Schmark. So those were their two candidates for DeKalb County State's Attorney. And now we are going to see our candidate for 70th District State Representative running unopposed. It's Robert Pritchard. And I'll let you settle in for a moment, Bob. And you have 2 minutes to
introduce myself.
Talk to the people. Introduce yourself again.
Actually, I want to spend the time to thank those of you here physically and those of you that may be watching for participating in the democratic process. One of the passions that I have is to represent this area, to represent the interests of the citizens, and try to shape the laws that we have, the programs that we fund through our taxes, and get the best kind of services that we can for the state of Illinois. We have a wonderful state. We've had some bad leadership over the last few years, both from the legislature as well from the executive branch, that have taken us in the wrong direction. And I'm trying to be part of the solution, working in a bipartisan fashion to get our state back on track, to get us able to achieve the dreams that we have as adults and that our children have in this state, because we have great resources. This is the center of the country. We have a great tradition. And my hope is to help get us back on track to take us in that direction. I've tried in the years that I've been on the county board, the years that I've served as state representative, to be open, to listen, to be accessible at meetings, to try to get the pulse of this community as to what they feel their issues are, and more importantly, any ideas for suggestions on improvement. That's what I will continue to do. I have a number of councils, all the way from the Young Reader program during the summer to our youth council, to our seniors, to our Veterans Council that I just initiated. Again, trying to service the needs of all of our citizens. So I would just encourage all of you that may be here or that may be watching or listening that we have to be engaged in our democracy if we are to protect it and to preserve it. So I want to work with you in making this community, this county, as well as this state, a good place to live and to work. And thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Pritchard. State Representative Bob Pritchard, he's running unopposed in the 70th District. Of course, that doesn't mean he doesn't want you to vote for him on the ballot. And next, we have a Regional Superintendent of Schools candidate. This is Amanda Christensen, a Democrat. No confirmation from her opponent, so she has 2 minutes to tell us about herself.
Thank you all for tuning in tonight. I am Amanda Christensen, and I am running for Regional Superintendent of Schools. For those of you who don't know what the Regional Superintendent is supposed to do, please pick up a job description on your way out the door. It is there with my literature. I am the communicator, collaborator, resource, and advocate that I claim to be, and districts and school boards are seeing that as I travel throughout the county this month. My qualifications as an educational leader, they've already been established. View the last forum on October 3rd. Check out my literature. Talk to my many colleagues, or come talk to me personally. And you will see I have the competence and the confidence to excel as Regional Superintendent of Schools. Everyone has something to learn in a new job, but I already have a solid foundation of knowledge and skills compatible for this position. More so, I have the disposition and the dedication to serve you, the public. I care about being a part of each community within this region, the public, the private, and the cooperatives. I've already been establishing relationships across the county, a critical step in building a team for our children. So much local authority for schools has been usurped by state and federal mandates. Granted, many of them are good because they're school accountability things. But nonetheless, we are losing local control. Additionally, the position of DeKalb Regional Superintendent of Schools has traditionally been uncontested. This is your opportunity to exercise what little local authority is left. Exercise your right to vote for the best candidate. This position is not about party lines. It's about kids. It's about students. I'm asking you do the right thing and make a conscious vote for me, Amanda Christensen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Christensen. Now, we may have a few more county board candidates at the very end of the meeting, but that does it for this round of candidates. So a big thank you to everyone who participated so far tonight. But it's not over yet. Don't go away. We're now going to hear a little about a couple of the questions that you'll see on your ballot, so you're not surprised when you get to the ballot box and you see there are a couple questions there that you may not have heard about. So Kay Shelton is going to help run through a couple of these ballot questions.
Okay, and if I could have the slides up so the folks at home can see them, and go ahead and pull those up. I need to put my glasses on because some of these have some fine print. And as soon as I get that up, basically, just so nobody is surprised, I'm going to give just a little bit of information about what they might see on the ballot. And if we could go ahead to the next slide, please. Oh, this is the easy one. We're going to do the easy one first. That is the City of DeKalb proposal, and I will read this so that everybody knows what it says. If you can't read it at home, this is generally a no-no reading a PowerPoint slide, but I will read it just so everybody knows what it says. This is a proposition to appoint a city clerk rather than be elected. And the question is, shall the city clerk in the City of DeKalb, Illinois, be selected by the city manager with the advice and consent of the mayor and city council rather than elected? And you have a choice of yes or no. And this is fairly straightforward, and just so you know, the League of Women Voters does not have a position on this ballot question. That's more of a county-wide organization, and only citizens in the City of DeKalb will be able to vote on this ballot question. If voters want the city manager to hire the clerk, then they should vote yes. If voters want to continue electing a clerk themselves, then they should vote. Oh, I just read that. I think I read that backwards. If voters want to continue electing a clerk themselves, then they should vote no. I did get that right. Gee, I jinxed it by saying that was the easy one. Okay, now we'll move on to the hard one. If I could have the next slide, please. And this will be the Illinois Constitutional Amendment. This is a proposed amendment to the 1970 Illinois Constitution. And there is an explanation of the amendment that you will see on the ballot. There's a lot of fine print that you are going to see on this ballot. And we go ahead to the next slide, please. And here's what it says so everybody knows and can read it. Upon approval by the voters, the proposed amendment, which takes effect on January 9th, 2013, adds a new section to the general provisions article of the Illinois Constitution. The new section will require a 3/5 majority vote of either chamber of the General Assembly or the governing body of a unit of local government, school district, or pension or retirement system in order to increase a benefit under any public pension or retirement system. At the general election to be held on November 6, 2012, you will be called upon to decide whether the proposed amendment should become part of the Illinois Constitution. It keeps going. Can I have the next slide, please? If you believe the Illinois Constitution should be amended to require a 3/5 majority vote in order to increase a benefit under any public pension or retirement system, you should vote yes on the question. If you believe the Illinois Constitution should not be amended to require a 3/5 majority vote in order to increase a benefit under any public pension or retirement system, you should vote no on the question. 3/5 of those voting on the question, or a majority of those voting in the election, must vote yes in order for the amendment to become effective on January 9th, 2013. That's the hard one. Okay. Now, the state's League of Women Voters, and this is not the local folks. The local folks, we have not yet looked at this ballot question. The state has. The state League of Women Voters has a lot more members. They could get that looked at. And so for those of you who are here, there is a handout available on the state's league position. For those at home who are not able to pick up a handout, you can find the information as well as the pension study, which is a separate issue on the Illinois League of Women Voters website. So for the benefit of the folks at home, I'm going to read through some of the position that the League of Women Voters of Illinois has taken on this ballot initiative. And they are opposing this ballot initiative. They're basically saying vote no on the ballot. And here's why. The measure would amend the general provisions article of the Illinois Constitution requiring a 3/5 majority vote of each chamber of the General Assembly or the governing body of a unit of local government, school district, or pension or retirement system in order to increase a benefit under any public pension or retirement system. Our objection is squarely focused on the proposal's 3/5 majority vote requirement, not on pension reform issues. We are acting under our representative government position to promote an open governmental system that is representative, accountable, and responsive. The Illinois League has a strong record supporting measures to make our democracy more, not less, representative. Our interests in experience with constitutional amendments are extensive, including detailed study and active participation in the 1970 Constitutional Convention, where we strenuously advocated for simple majority votes on constitutional matters. As an organization that has been active in the legislative process, we have witnessed firsthand what the standard code of parliamentary procedures confirms. Some people mistakenly assume that the higher the vote required to take an action, the greater the protection of the members. Instead, the opposite is true. Whether a vote of more than a majority is required to take action, control is taken from the majority and given to a minority. Okay, so what does that mean in plain English? Basically, what the League of Women Voters of Illinois is saying is by changing the Constitution, any vote on changing a pension benefit that would increase it requires more than just a simple majority. The League's position is a simple majority should be good enough. And while it looks good on paper to have a 3/5 majority, because it sounds like it might be more difficult to raise a pension benefit, the League is saying, no, a simple majority should be good enough to get something passed, and that when you change it from a simple majority to increasing the number of people that would have to say yes, that gives more power to the minority. And they're basically saying, that's not how democracy works. It should be a simple majority. So it's not saying they're against pension reform, because the League is looking at pension reform as an issue. They're saying this isn't going to do anything for the cost, and it's going to change how they perceive democracy should work. Hopefully that's clear. That was the hard one. So anyway, you will now hopefully be aware that you'll see those on your ballot, and there's going to be a lot of fine print. So if you need to bring your glasses like I do, bring your glasses to the voting polls, and hopefully you'll be there on Election Day. Thank you so much for attending. Oh, and we do want to mention the two county board candidates who are going to try and be here if the timing was good. and apparently I don't see them, and that is Julia Fullerton and Paul Stoddard. They were going to try and be here late, but I do not see them. So they were going to try and make an effort. I do want to mention that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And get out and vote.